never had the opportunity to truly thank all of you for the way you cared for our family. You prayed for us without ceasing. You fed us for 8 months straight, and then 2 months just recently. You have rallied your family in ways we never imagined. So I just first want to say thank you. I'm really, really grateful for the chance to share most of our story with you today. Whatever you may be dealing with, it may be the nuclear bomb, or it may be the thorn in your flesh. Whatever it is, it matters to God. He is not afraid of what He has allowed in your life. Actually, He plans to use it for your good and His own glory. Whatever you may be dealing with, sometimes it's the future that's the scary place. Sometimes it's the past. I want to tell you 2 stories about how in my life the Lord has worked to redeem both. Many years ago, I remember asking myself, what is worst case scenario? Besides losing a child, what would be the worst thing I could imagine? I answered myself with brain cancer. I don't know why. I'd never known anyone with brain cancer, but of all the scary monsters I could dream up, brain cancer in my mind was the scariest. I'm so thankful I can remember having that thought. Sometimes the Lord allows us to walk in the most terrifying, dark places, and this is where we see for ourselves that He is the light. On April 3rd, 2 years ago, I wrote in my journal, "This has been a really hard past few days. I'm not sure what has caused this wave of strange symptoms, but I have no energy, a depressed mood. My sleep has been terrible. I keep forgetting names while I walk into rooms. Brad says I need blood work and an MRI. I'm afraid I just look crazy and paranoid." I wrote this prayer that same day. "Lord, please give me the peace that comes from knowing the one who sustains the weary. Lord, help me to rest in the hands of my Creator. Help me to not be afraid." The next day, I was still feeling a little off. I was still thinking I need some blood work. I wrote this in my journal. Today, the calendar was suddenly clear. Mom invited the kids over, and I had a free morning to myself, which is like spotting a unicorn in the wild. It never happens, and you know it can't be real. I was still not feeling great, and they had an MRI appointment come open, so we decided to take it so we could rule out anything neurological. I remember lying in that tube. All I could remember was Psalm 121 that my son had to learn for school. I lift up my eyes to the hills. From where does my help come? My help comes from the Lord who made heaven and earth. My husband, Brad, being medical, just watched the MRI screen because he was expecting it to be completely normal. He never imagined what he saw. When I walked out of the machine, I looked at him. His face was white as a sheet. They found something. It was all he could next couple of days went down, I found out that I had brain cancer. A glioblastoma, 5 centimeters, was just the center part, and it grows in a hand shape, so the fingers go down to the cellular level. It took up most of my brain. There's not a way to get it all out at that size. Those were some heavy days, but every one was like following breadcrumbs. Stay and today began to be a theme, a motto, a life goal. Not one of us knows what will happen tomorrow. Jesus could come back tomorrow. Jesus could come back in 1 minute. Don't worry about tomorrow. Stay in today. The next morning, up came the part that I dreaded the most. I had to tell my kids. What would I even say? I had planned the Bible time that morning to be Psalm 37, but I meditated on Psalm 31 accidentally. What an amazing gift it was. Verse 7 and 8 was like medicine for me. I will rejoice and be glad in your steadfast love, because you have seen my affliction. You have known the distress of my soul, and you have not delivered me into the hand of the enemy. You have set my feet in a broad place. My tumor may be in a handshake, but that is not the hand I'm in. When we met with our children at the dining table, we told them that I went to the doctor and he took an x-ray of my brain and found that I have a place growing there that is not healthy and will need to come out. I told them that they might hear words like tumor and cancer, and those are scary words to us. But this is not scary to God. He made me. Every part. This is no surprise to God. He is not afraid. He has a perfect plan. I am safest in His hands. The talk went so well. No tears, no panic. The kids were able to ask any questions they wanted. Jane Bradley, my oldest, was mostly concerned that I would lose my hair. I told her that I didn't know, but what I hear is that because it's in my brain, the medicine I will take is not the kind that makes your hair fall out. She was so relieved. I took a deep sigh of relief to be carried through another scary thing. It was in those first few days that my sister created the Love for Lacey Facebook page. She suggested having a place where people could keep up with my condition, but mostly so they could know how to pray. I have always been a pretty private person, so this was super awkward for me. But I knew she was right. I needed prayer more than I needed privacy. What happened next is still one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen. That page went up when I went to bed, and when I woke up, the Lord had raised an army while I slept. Literally thousands of people following and encouraging and praying joined forces. What could I even say? It was miraculous. And over the next couple of days, we had hoped to learn to continue finding the next breadcrumb. But that's not what He did. He laid out a red carpet. The Lord opened doors one after another. Every day had what we needed. He prepared a table for us in the presence of our enemies. That's exactly what it was like. On Sunday, we were called to meet with another surgeon and his surgeon friend, and two of our best friends went with us, and they sat at their dining table and asked questions. We sat at our dining table and asked questions. Those were some crazy hard moments. One of the toughest nights of my life, I think. The new surgeon was offering me the hope sometimes people can live even 2 to 3 years. And those were his good numbers. What? 2 to 3 years? I was spiraling so fast. It was at that point that my new brain surgeon friend moved closer to me and stopped all the medical talk. He looked straight at me and he said with great command, "Lacey, you need to clue back into whose you are. Statistics mean nothing to you. You do not believe anything can happen outside of his control. This is about the Lord instructing you to live out of your life as he ordained, cancer included. You are God's child, and I don't know why he has allowed you to walk down this path, but it's your path. No one can walk it for you. It's yours. But he promises you will not walk this by yourself. He's going the whole way with you, whether this lasts one day or for the next 60 years. You're not walking one step of it by yourself. Remember whose you are." This moment was a game changer for me. Although I felt that conversation forced me to come to terms with the fact that life as I know it may be permanently changed, the Lord put another precious stone of great value in my pocket in that moment. Remember whose you are. The controller of the universe is my Father. He loves me. My fierce love for my own babies is only a picture of his fierce love for me. My favorite Bible verse is Psalm 84, 11 and 12. It says, "For the Lord God is a sun and a shield. He bestows glory and honor. No good thing does he withhold from those who walk uprightly. O Lord of hosts, blessed is the one who delights in you." Do I believe that? How does this truth fit in the story of a mother of 4 children getting brain cancer? Let me tell you, that is exactly the point. The Lord wants us to watch him make the broken things new and beautiful and restored and right. And when I bend my will and my knees and open my hands to accept whatever he has for me, because I know him, and I know what beauty he deals in, I will take it from whatever cup he brings, because I know the one who sets the table. table. The Lord carried me through those days. And 1 week after I had my first MRI, I was heading into brain surgery. So many people in this room prayed for my surgery. And when I woke up, I opened my eyes and smiled really big and shouted, "I did it!" Brad was so relieved. Next, I shouted, "I need a cheeseburger." Hot. Brad knew we're going to make it. I stayed in the hospital for 2 more nights. Much of the time I was feeling strong, but often very tired from no sleep for several days. I'm convinced that Satan loves to attack most when we're tired. We were to be discharged later that day, but it was still dark outside. I just woke up feeling like I was more in chains than I had ever been in my life. All of a sudden, it was brand new all over again. I had brain cancer. I had 4 precious babies and a husband who has to carry a sick family for the rest of his life. Heavy stuff for 7 a.m. on a Friday morning. It was quicksand. Brad so heroically saw me sinking and offered me the most precious hand. He said, "Lacey, just think. This life is so short. At the very most, you might have 65 years left on this earth. That's it. And it's over. Then there's eternity with the Lord. This life is so short. So even if you get there first, it's okay. You'll only be there by a minute. I'll be right with you, right behind you." In that moment, heaven went from black and white to full color for me. This place is so temporary. We are just all travelers on our way home. It felt like the Lord handed me the keys to the jail cell, and I just stood up and walked out. To tell you another part of this story, I will have to give you a little backstory. Most of y'all know my parents, but what you don't know is that my father, John Travis, adopted me when I was a little girl. He adopted my younger sister and I, and he treasured us and taught us and cares for us in the most amazing father way. He is and has been dad almost my whole life. What most people are not aware of is that when I was young, I did know by my biological father. He would take me out for treats and fun afternoons when he came through town. As the time went by, I saw him less and less often. Years went by, and I didn't see him. I saw him when I graduated high school. The next time I saw him, I was standing in my wedding dress, getting married. I remember looking at him and wondering why he came. I became really bitter. And the more bitter I became, the more angry I became. I shut down communication completely. I closed the door. I wasn't interested in a relationship. In my mind, he could do whatever he wanted with his life. I didn't care. He reached out a few times, but by that point, I was not interested in connecting. I was so hurt. And the hurt turned into fear. I was afraid to communicate. I was afraid he might show up. What if he just stopped by my door? What would I do? So I locked my door. And I closed my curtains all the time, just in case. I was so bitter and angry and hurt. There's just one problem. Jesus and sin cannot live in a heart happy together. Oh, how I wanted them to. Jesus could work on any part he wanted. If he would just leave that spot alone, that relationship was completely unwanted, completely dead in my mind. But just as a small whisper, I knew the Lord was calling me to forgive. It was starting to churn in me. One day, I finally decided I would forgive. I prayed to the Lord that I wanted to forgive my biological father. I knew if I needed to remind myself over and over again, I would. Sometimes we need to do that, forgive and forgive again. Oh, I felt so much peace there, where there had been anger. The Lord was healing my heart. I thought that would be the end. But that wasn't the end. I began to feel that the Lord was calling me to forgive and let him go. And I had to let him know. Someone told me once that forgiveness without the willingness to reconcile is like sitting in a jail cell with the door open and being unwilling to walk out. I knew what I had to do. So, one day, I sent my littles to school, and I sat down on my computer, and I typed this to my biological father as fast as I could. This was to him. I'm not sure where to begin, except to say that the Lord is faithful. I've been on such a long journey, one that started and stopped and went up and down. I carried a lot of bitterness with me most of the way. I tried to lock it up, block it out, bury it deep. But God had another plan. I had to let it go. It was amazing to me, the relief I felt when I did that many months ago. I thought I was done, but the Lord has another step for me. He wants me to tell you, I forgive you. Whatever accusations I have held on to, I have let them go, and I want you to know I've been a Christian most of my life, but it's been through this relationship that I have come to have a greater understanding of his love for me. Thank you for your patience. I'm grateful. By his grace. Lacey. I wasn't sure if I had the correct email address, but I pressed send anyway. Y'all, pushing that send button is hands down the most heavenly moment I've ever had here on earth. Immediately after I sent that email, Jesus flooded all those dark, hurt places of my heart with himself. I was free. Remember how I told you how afraid I was that my dad that maybe my dad would just show up at my house uninvited and I wouldn't know what to do? I no longer had this fear after reconciling. He and I emailed from time to time after my letter of forgiveness. The door was open. Whenever he emailed me, I would just send him an email back. No hard feeling. One day, I arrived home from Bible study and I was running through the obstacle course of figuring out what people would like for lunch and how they would get started on their homework. I heard someone knock at my door. I looked out the glass and there he stood at my door. My biological father. My once terrifying fear was happening live. I opened the door, wide-eyed. I didn't want to eject. I smiled at him. I welcomed him in. I wasn't really sure exactly what to tell my kids, so I just introduced all of them and let him introduce himself. He told them his name, and he stood in my kitchen and asked all about how I was doing. We had a good visit. He stayed for a long time. You see, my cancer drove him there. He needed to see for himself. He needed to see if the reports were true, I was actually doing better, or were those people just trying to be positive? He had questions about my prognosis, my abilities, everything. I was still open. I answered his questions without defenses. Still amazes me. On his way out, he asked if he could pray with me. He held my hands and prayed boldly for healing and protection and peace. What I know is that we were seeing the Lord healing right then in more ways than one. You see, when my cancer drove him to my house to see me in person, I was staring at my own healing. People were praying for my body's healing. But what was amazing to me was that I watched the Lord bring a dead place in my heart back to life. That gives me courage. He is so powerful. God is so good. I told you at the beginning, sometimes it's the nuclear bomb, like brain cancer. Sometimes it's the thorn in your flesh, my own struggle to forgive. Whatever it is in your life, Jesus can repair and rebuild and redeem it all. That is some solid ground. That is where your anchor goes. No matter what, know this. The Lord goes with you. You won't go one step of it by yourself. There is nowhere he doesn't go, even here.